So narcissism is indeed one of the predictors of affairs. So narcissism, also, and actually Jordan Peterson mentioned this on his podcast with you, the dark triad traits of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. He mentioned sadism. I don't think that really plays into infidelity so much, but the dark triad is a good predictor of who, both males and females, which ones are likely to have affairs. But there's a big sex difference there because men tend to be much higher on these dark triad traits than women, and so it's a smaller minority of women who are inclined in that direction.
Now, why are men more inclined towards those traits? Does that have to do with some sort of survival strategy? Does it have to do with a success strategy that would lead to more mating? Like if you encourage psychopathy or narcissism, or not even encourage, but if somehow or another those behavior traits are rewarded by success, because you have this ability to do things that other people might find reprehensible or amoral, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Immoral.
Yeah. And what I would say is you have to break it down by each of those dark triad traits, because I think each one has a somewhat different origin. So with respect to psychopathy, these are one of the hallmarks is a lack of empathy. And so these are very bad dudes, and where they pursue an exploitative strategy where they feign cooperation. So most people are cooperators. So, you give me a cup of coffee, I'm grateful for that, and I see you're thirsty for some water, and I give that. So most people are cooperative by nature. Those high in psychopathy feign cooperation and then basically fuck people over the long run. It's kind of like a bait and switch type strategy, which can work, except there are huge costs associated with it in small group living, where we evolved. And that's why I think my hypothesis is that there's been an increase in psychopathy over the last 10,000 years as people started living in towns and cities, and as migration became more common, where you could move from place to place without incurring that reputational damage. Because people, you fuck people over, word gets around, and then people might ostracize you from the group or kill you or whatever. Or if the victims were members of your family or your friends, you'd incur a lot of costs associated with that strategy. But in the modern environment, you can get away with that strategy much more easily. I mean, we are being preyed upon by people online in different continents that we never even encounter, that are high on these psychopathic traits. So that's psychopathy. Narcissism is attractive to women. And this is it's one of the questions I get asked a lot is, why are women attracted to bad boys? Guys who seem like they're assholes, who don't respect them, et cetera. But there are reasons, and one is they exhibit a lot of confidence. And confidence people often interpret as a cue to status. Why would you be confident if you didn't have something to back up your confidence? Those high in narcissism also like to be the center of attention. And as humans, we use the attention structure as a cue to status. That is, the high status people are the ones to whom the most people pay the most attention. And so if someone's paying you a lot of attention, and narcissists put themselves, at the center of the party, at the center of attention, and so women interpret, that's a status cue. So the confidence and status are known. We know that these are attractive to women, but over time, with experience, women become less and less attracted to these bad boy characteristics. That is, it's primarily young, relatively inexperienced women who are drawn to these guys.
That makes sense. So over time, women would recognize, like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah. And then the Machiavellianism to just close the loop on the dark triad, these are exploiters. These are the manipulators. This actually came from originally from the book The Prince, which is one of these classic books where there's an advisor to the prince who's advising him on all these, kind of underground strategies to manipulate other people and manipulate and maintaining power and so forth. And these highly manipulative people, well, sometimes they rise to the top. Sometimes they maneuver themselves by outcompeting others, and they become CEOs or whatever. And so it kind of depends on the environment. High Machiavellians tend to thrive more in a kind of free for all environment where there aren't very strict rules of engagement. So probably more difficult to do it, say, in the military, where they're very regimented, they're very rule oriented. The high Mac people, as they're called, they wouldn't thrive in those environments typically. But more free floating environment, maybe
day trading,
yeah, or even business entrepreneurs who are wheeling and dealing.
That makes sense. Yeah, and you do meet a lot of psychos that are doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that have great aspirations about starting big businesses and getting the, you meet them and you're like, oh, you're kind of fucking crazy. Like there's a lot of those guys that are like hopped up on Adderall and very aggressive, and it makes sense that they're attracted to that.
Yeah, and sometimes talk a good game.
Yes, and women would be attracted to them because of the potential access to resources.
Yes. Yeah, women are very tuned in. This is one of the sex differences, and people don't like it, but it's a universal that women value financial resources and, even more important, the qualities that lead to financial resources over time. So does the guy have drive? Does he have ambition? Does he have goals? Is he going places? Is he well respected by his peers?
So that's even more important than the actual resources themselves?
It kind of depends on the age. So
right, for potential, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So like I don't know, if you're an undergraduate at UT, a woman might find a pre-med student to be very attractive, not because he has a thick pocketbook now, but because he's going to be a doctor, he's going to be making a lot of money down the line.
It's an investment.
Yeah. Older women tend to want to see the goods right now.
Yeah, makes sense.